Welcome back to Growth Unleashed, the podcast for pet brands that want to grow smarter without relying on paid ads. I'm Matt, the founder of Bubblegum Search.
And I'm Louis, SEO Manager here at Bubblegum. And today we wanted to take a bit of a dive into some of the buzzwords that we're seeing in SEO in 2025. Things like AIO, AEO, GEO, all related to kind of optimizing for large language models, but all sound quite confusing, so let's do some myth busting.
Yeah, let's bust those myths. So it's still SEO, right? So, SEO happens wherever people look for answers, but in short, it's just not Google anymore. But you could just call it search everywhere optimization.
Yeah, I think that's the best kind of summary of our take here. So GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, AIO, Artificial Intelligence Optimization, They all kind of just mean the same thing, basically. I don't think it's anything to be too worried about. Effectively, if you're still doing good SEO, you should still be kind of hitting on all of the points that these new services will reward. So things like producing helpful content, things like third-party trust signals, brand mentions, reviews, that sort of thing, and also just kind of having a strong brand reputation across all of the important platforms and influential platforms online.
Yeah, so it's really, in order to be visible in these AI search platforms, you're just doing a lot of the good old SEO stuff, and particularly the off-site part of the SEO more,
Yeah, absolutely.
But with a bit more fine-tuned, I suppose, isn't it? Whereas previously you could afford to be a little bit more spread thin, or perhaps get away with slightly irrelevant mentions or links, whereas now you have to be just making sure you're actually on the places that influence your audience and that are super relevant.
I think, if we look to the old days of SEO, off-site was always a factor, but it was way more just about like getting a follow backlink from a website and not really caring
it was a bit more simplistic.
what the website context was, or
because it worked for that.
Going and jumping on directories, like when you launch a new site, you go and submit to every directory out there, and you hope as many of them link back to you as possible.
Yeah, that brings back memories. Yeah, exactly. And so the evolution, and this has been going on a few years now, so it's not like it's just like, this was last week. But the need to be visible across those different search platforms, because, it's fragmented now, isn't it? The search, of course you've got Google, but you've got YouTube, Amazon, obviously social platforms like TikTok, forums like Reddit, and of course, like we're discussing today, the AI search platforms like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini. So you've got the game now is to be visible everywhere, and for that, the search everywhere optimization applies. But as we said, really, that is just fine-tuning what we've done with SEO, or should have been doing with SEO for a few years now.
Absolutely. I think, I love search everywhere optimization, and I think it really, really describes our jobs well in 2025.
Yeah.
Like if we take a use case, so like I'm a dog owner who has a 2-year-old border collie, rescue dog, and I'm looking for a good food brand for it. My first port of call in 2025 might be going on ChatGPT and explaining, that I've got a 2-year-old rescue dog, that these are the requirements, what sort of food should I be feeding it? And, ChatGPT will spit out some brands, maybe some recommendations. You might go on to Google to search those. You might ask it ChatGPT directly for the sources and visit the websites, but it doesn't really end there. You might find a particular brand, and then you think, okay, well, I'm going to read reviews about this. I'm going to go on TikTok and look for someone that uses it. Instagram, see if there are any influencers that I like that recommend it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and all of those different searches have ultimately a different intent, because like you said, like YouTube could be for reviews. You might be reviewing a product and seeing how it works, or just reading the comments to see what people think of it.
Yeah.
But like ChatGPT, like the example you mentioned, is a lot more conversational and contextual. So you're going to be feeding it a lot more information, and also ultimately talking to it like you would an advisor or a consultant or a vet, in order to really home in on those exact needs. So so search is fragmented, it's everywhere now, and you've got to be everywhere serving those different intents. You can't rely on like you used to be able to rely on a single blog post in Google where all the attention and search once used to be, and you could get away with that, and of course drive interest and traffic from that post. You just have to be findable wherever your audience is asking these questions now, across all these different search platforms. Yes, I mean, SEO has developed beyond what it was, and a more suitable acronym now for 2025, at least in our opinion, is that it should be search everywhere optimization.
Absolutely. And I guess if I'm a pet brand, let's say, my question now would be, how do we earn that wider visibility? And I think for us, definitely here at Bubblegum, this is where we've really kind of taken the idea of digital PR and just baked it into SEO principles. So I think it's interesting that previously, when you kind of almost had SEO and then you had traditional PR, they were separate entities. What we've seen is, as traditional PR has become digital PR and become something that SEOs can do themselves if they want, it's more of a fundamental aspect of SEO. It's not a ancillary feature that you can think about afterwards. Like this visibility across platforms on the internet is something that you absolutely need, and there's no better way of doing it than doing some digital PR.
Yeah, because ultimately it's not just about the backlinks, is it? So, there's the entity recognition that you get from it being in the right places, the brand mentions that we've talked about, or perhaps even branded anchor text from links, and the trust that it drives through. So it's all of the signals, branded signals, that you get that benefit ultimately Google and large language models as well at the same time.
Absolutely. They're not just reading your site, these LLMs, they're literally reading the internet to find out about you. So you need to make sure that your presence on the internet is what they want to see. And it's the same thing we've always been doing for Google. And I guess my ultimate point is there really is no need to worry about these new acronyms. Yes, they indicate that search is changing, but I don't think they necessarily represent new services in themselves. They all kind of reward the same things that, the core SEO principles reward.
Yeah, and then, just the last bit, I guess, to say on the digital PR side is that up until, I guess it was 2022, wasn't it, when the explosion of ChatGPT came around, where there was this kind of conversation in the marketing world about whether or how much value unlinked mentions actually created. And depending on what side of the fence you're on, we were always an advocate of it driving value, driving brand awareness, and etc. But with the studies that have come out and showing how branded mentions in the right places, and in the right publications and on the right platforms do absolutely help you rank within LLMs and AI search. It's just given the digital PR a huge boost, because it's now you get the best of both worlds, right? So you still get the links and the benefit that you would for Google, while also getting the benefit for ranking in large language models as well.
Absolutely. So I think to wrap up our episode, GEO, AEO, AIO,
whatever it might be,
it's all SEO.
Yeah, that is the bottom line of it. And SEO is really search engine Sorry, no, it's not.
Oh.
Search everywhere
Almost tripped
optimization.
yourself up
Yeah,
there.
well, old habits die hard, don't they? Yeah, so it's still about being helpful, trusted, and discoverable. And look, if you're making great content already, getting great branded mentions in the right places, and ultimately just putting the audience first, then yeah, you're ahead of the curve. So cool. Okay, well that's it. I think that's. If you've got any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, yeah, that's it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for now. Bye.